And we are live. Welcome back to Staking Mondays, everyone. My name is Ken, and I'm with the co-founder of Staking Rewards, Mirko Schmiedel. And we are delighted to welcome today's guest, Josh Lee, co-founder and builder of Keplr Wallet and Osmosis. Welcome, Josh.
Hi, happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Josh has pushed forward IBC development and adoption on Cosmos. So today we're going to talk about Keplr, Osmosis, staking wallets, ecosystem tooling, and what it takes for Cosmos to truly take off. This episode is sponsored by Lido Finance. Lido is the market-leading liquid staking solution. And here we go, guys. So breaking right into today's episode, we're going to start with some quick lightning round questions. So what was your first crypto investment outside of BTC and Ethereum?
Oh, that's a great point because my first crypto investment wasn't Bitcoin or Ethereum. I actually bought, well, I guess I technically did buy Bitcoin to buy this, but the end goal was I bought about $3 or $5 worth of Dogecoin back in 2014. And I still have about $1.50 of it. I think it's about 8,000 or 9,000 Doges. And once Elon started shilling it, that $1.50 got to about $4,500, but planning on hodling it till 2024, which is my 10-year anniversary of having it. So, which is the reason why my nickname has been Dojemos, because it's Dogecoin and Cosmos put together. And
all right, yeah, early adopter of Dogecoin. That's amazing. Yeah. Really cool. And like, which person inspired you the most during your crypto journey?
That's a great question. To be honest, I mean, I'm always just very inspired by my Osmosis co-founders a lot. Obviously, I can't not mention my Keplr co-founder, but it's just like I've just known him so long. But yeah, Sunny and Dave are two people that I think I learned the most from. Very patient, kind, and insightful. So they do complement a lot of the stacks that I don't have, and yeah, full of knowledge, full of insight, and also great character. So.
Awesome, Josh. And let me just read that sponsorship again. Sorry, guys, I was a little out of breath to start us off there. So again, we are sponsored today by Lido Finance, and Lido is the market-leading liquid staking solution. With Lido, you can stake Ethereum, Solana, and Terra while keeping full liquidity via staking derivatives. And staking derivatives you can use in multiple DeFi applications to generate some additional yield. So we all love Lido. We'll check that out further. And again, Josh, back to the lightning round here. So what is the most inspiring staking wallet outside of Keplr?
That's a great point. I do love Stake Wallet. I think they have really good branding. I like the team. And I think they kind of narrowed down exactly what they're looking for, just staking. And I think they've done a phenomenal job of executing. And then obviously, I don't know if this is a staking wallet, but also Rainbow Wallet. I think they know exactly where the wallet space is going, and they're leading it by a long mile.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely love them too. And how do you stay up to date with crypto news and markets? Do you have a favorite newsletter or anything, or podcast?
Twitter is my newsletter. Yeah.
Twitter, where all the breaking information comes from, definitely.
Yeah.
And when did you last check your crypto portfolio?
That's a great point, because I think I have it split across different wallets, but I'm not the most organized person. So, but my Osmosis account is kind of like my wallet at this point. So I do check that pretty often because I do work on it sometimes. But yeah, on a daily basis at the very least.
Yeah. And which destination are you planning to travel to next? Do you have any plans, any conferences coming up, or?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Berkeley for about a week. I'm actually flying out this Thursday, and then I'll be at ETH Denver. So, any of you guys or anyone in the audience is going to be in Denver, please, feel free to say hi. I'd love to hack as well. So if you have ideas, I'd love to join.
Very cool. And yeah, we had a guest, another Osmosis guest on here previously, and it seems like Berkeley's like a good lifeline for you guys, right? For developers and community.
Yeah, there's a pretty big Cosmos gang that came out of Berkeley, which I think is really funny. And not everyone started in Cosmos, but everyone ends up in Cosmos. So I think that's the most interesting part.
Awesome, Josh. Well, thanks for introducing us there. And so now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into more questions around Keplr, Osmosis, and the whole Cosmos ecosystem. So to start us off here, what inspired you to build the Keplr wallet, and where do you draw inspirations from and motivation from today?
Yeah, so the way we started, I think, was mostly, at the time there were wallets, right? There was Looney, Cosmos Station, both great teams. But one of my frustration was like, all right, Cosmos is meant to be a network of application-specific blockchains and special emphasis on the application part. But I felt like at the time the wallet infrastructure was primarily created in the way of just simply staking and asset management and things like that. And obviously staking is a very powerful and crucial part of proof of stake application blockchains. But for blockchains to truly be meaningful at the end of the day, it does have to evolve into applications, or else you're just kind of staking for the sake of staking, and it's just this weird circular logic. So we're like, all right, we have conviction that this IBC thing is going to work, Cosmos is going to work, and we want to be ahead of the curve by preparing a wallet that's more suited to serve applications, connecting where application blockchain developers don't have to worry about building this wallet infrastructure, and then for the average user to not have to realize that, oh, I have to learn the CLI to use this application. So we kind of feel like we're serving both sides of the market, or both sides of the users, where one side is the people that are developing the blockchains, and then on the other side is using the blockchain.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, and Keplr is definitely one of the smoothest wallet experiences in crypto, I would say. Do you think that's kind of applicable to other chains as well? Or like, what could other wallet developers learn from you in a sense? Like, what are these things that they, could like where you inspire them, you think? Or like, what are the things you're doing very right?
Yeah, so I think one of the approaches that we think a little bit differently is we always went for so I mentioned that we kind of see two sides of the users. And I think at the earlier stage of crypto and blockchain applications, I think the developer side of that is very important. So our early efforts kind of went into making sure that Keplr would be the easiest and the go-to wallet for anyone that's developing these applications. Because once there is a compelling application, the users will kind of come, and naturally they'll be drawn to use Keplr. But it's a bigger problem if you have the best UI, best UX, most compelling wallet in the world. Yet if you have nothing that you can do with it, your user base is still going to be zero, right? So I think thinking of wallets as not just serving the end user, but also as an important component in just enabling builders to build better, build more efficiently, and save them a lot of time as well.
Absolutely. And for everyone watching, feel free to ask questions for Josh in the chat. We will have a community question section at the end of the episode here. And Josh, obviously Keplr is a massive success. You guys have done great at catering to both developers and the end user. But for your team internally, how do you guys actually make money with Keplr?
Yeah, so that's been an interesting question, and one that we still haven't found the right answer to. But earlier in the days, we were mostly just supported through grants, I think. So the Interchain Foundation, the foundation behind Cosmos, has been a big contributor in just us being able to stay alive. Can't forget to mention the grant program ran by Stakefish. That basically kept the light on for basically the first 6 months or so, when it was just my co-founder and I. And then, now we're experimenting with different models. I know, there are wallets that are running validators. I know I don't think there are anyone that's charging users, but I think right now, our approach has been, so the use of the wallet itself is always permissionless, right? So we're not going to block access from a chain using Keplr, but I think the model that we're starting to kind of explore is, all right, in the world where there is 100, or maybe 1,000 blockchains, like we can't, natively support all of them. So I think we see ourselves as a way of curating some of these things, and I think being able to monetize. And yeah, I don't think we have to be scared to say that we do monetize by, some of these curation methods, because, I think the core development team is obviously one contributor of building that network. And I think making sure that there is a way to monetize the front end developers and the kind of client infrastructure developers is just as important, because I think that is also a crucial part of like a blockchain application.
Cool. And are you considering at all to launch a token at some point with Keplr? And, like, what could that look like? Because it seems quite natural, right?
I know a lot of
yeah.
wallets have explored that. I personally haven't found a lot of compelling models, to be honest. And until we see that, I don't think we will go that route. But yeah, I think a lot of that kind of depends on where the infrastructure is. Obviously, we earlier on worked on this whole thing called interchain accounts, where you can basically have a wallet chain that has remote wallets across the IBC network, and you kind of control just this one thing. But I think timing is crucial. I don't want to have a token just because, for the sake of having a token. I think it does have to mean something. It does have to kind of be useful for some reason. And I don't think we fully found that yet. So I don't think we're going to rush into that decision.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of the users for the Keplr wallet would have their ears perk up with just the sound of an airdrop. But that's for a later date. It seems like you guys are still in the planning phase and seeing if it's even viable. You don't want to just have a token for the sake of having a token. So considering you guys only support Cosmos ecosystem chains right now, do you have any plans to ever support any chains outside of the Cosmos ecosystem?
Yeah, obviously, I think Ethereum is a big one. We're definitely exploring that. For now, there are good options in Ethereum space, and I think there is a lot more need of a lot of things that we can improve on the Cosmos side, but we've always been wanting to support Ethereum from the day one we launched. We just haven't been able to due to lack of resources, but once the time is right, we'd love to kind of get there.
Cool. How do you actually decide like which Cosmos assets do you list? Like which Cosmos SDK? Like do you just support not all of them, right? But like what are the criteria to support like a Cosmos SDK chain?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, a lot of it just kind of does end up on the kind of the gut feeling when there's nothing starting. Obviously, the team and their track record is very important. And then, what kind of usage that they have. One of the difficult part is, when you're adding a chain when it hasn't launched yet, I think the decision there can be a lot more subjective. But if it's a chain that already has a mainnet, has users, then we evaluate how active are these users. If they are building on applications, are people just using it for speculation, or is there actual activity on the application itself? As well as right now, we're kind of optimized for the Cosmos SDK stack, but once it diverges too much, it becomes a pretty huge effort to support this divergence from the Cosmos SDK. So we do encourage the ones that are kind of using upstreaming code and being part of the actual ecosystem rather than a chain that has built off of the Cosmos SDK.
That's cool. Yeah, I would actually look forward a lot to like see Ethereum in Keplr Wallet. And so when I look in the Ethereum ecosystem, it's like probably what contributed the most to the success of Ethereum is like Metamask and Etherscan. I think like they are very, very good. And if you compare like Keplr to Metamask, like how far or like how would you compare them both in terms of effectiveness, or like what would it need for you to really be able to like to get to the same level as like a Metamask, for example?
And I guess I left this one out when you guys asked me that lightning round of questions, but one of the persons that I respect the most in the space is Dan Finley, the founder of Metamask. And yeah, I mean, one of the ideas that I think we share, I haven't talked to him personally about this, so maybe he doesn't agree with me, but I think he always approached this from a kind of dev first, enable the web app developers that are using Ethereum to not have to worry about how is this web app going to interact with the user. And that philosophy is kind of shared across how we think of our product and how Metamask thinks of the product. But ultimately, I think it does depend on the ecosystem. The success of Metamask isn't because Metamask is the best wallet, although I think their technical contributions are second to none in this space. But it's always been the rise of DeFi, the rise of NFTs, and the rise of on-chain applications that users can use that basically enables MetaMask to grow. And for us as well, I think we think of it always as a symbiotic relationship where we kind of solve a problem that the chain developers don't have to worry about anymore. But then at the same time, we benefit when they're able to focus on building their applications better, because that in turn kind of becomes our users that we can kind of leverage and in the future, hopefully be able to kind of, whether that's a token or an application, monetize in some way, or just give back to the community.
Yeah, and it really is a symbiotic relationship there. So in your opinion, what needs to happen in the Cosmos ecosystem in order to seriously take significant market share of Ethereum and Bitcoin? Which upcoming improvements, features, or other releases are you really looking forward to? And it doesn't need to be just from the Osmosis or Keplr ecosystem.
So I think one of the interesting things about Cosmos is, just in the DeFi primitives, we have a solid AMM, which is called Osmosis, but I think there's a lot of other DeFi primitives that are rather unexplored. So, new emergence of new primitives will be crucial. We also have a variety of smart contracts. We already have Secret Network. We have Juno with Cosmos alongside a lot of other chains, and I guess Osmosis is also leveraging Cosmos as part of the stack. And there's Evmos with Ethermint. So I think the bigger problem that I personally see that we need to resolve is in a heterogeneous, diverse, multi-chain ecosystem, how do we standardize a few things to make sure that the user interactions don't feel like you're interacting with 100 blockchains, but one ecosystem? So how can we focus on less on the multi-chain part and more on the inter-chain part? So kind of standardizing a lot of that. I think the notion of a multi-chain, inter-chain ecosystem breaks a lot of conventions that we had in the crypto ecosystem. Things like address derivation, standardization, or with like ledger apps, and I talk about this a lot in like IBC UX, naming and things like that. And so a lot of these things are solved by social efforts rather than just a technical one. But I think it's one worth spending a lot of effort in and hopefully be able to resolve without spending too much time that it hinders innovation, but kind of striking a good balance between the two.
Cool. So do you truly think like the like in the interchain, like it will kind of be the go-to opposed to like the multi-chain, and like how would that look like? Can Cosmos like absorb the multi-chain, or like can it absorb Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah, so I think one of the differences with the interchain is, it's like it's in the name, right? Cosmos is expanding. Like I think I see Cosmos ecosystem as more of a universe that expands the pie rather than a black hole that absorbs another planet. So our focus has always been, how can we, accelerate the speed that the Cosmos is expanding at, right? And that's one of the, it's like composability is a key thing in crypto, and the beautiful part about that is like 1 + 1 is not 2. It's like 1 + 1 is 3. When you have 2 different primitives or 3 different primitives, you can actually come up with more than 3 different applications because you can mix and match a lot of these things. You can have different takes on things like that. And the more applications that you have, the more derivative applications you can create out of it. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the interchain, where you do have some sovereignty. You do have, you are able to maximize your blockchain and your application, but it also means that anyone else is able to permissionlessly leverage the application that you have to create something else. And yeah, and in that way, I think Bitcoin is going to be a solid form of store of value for many, many more years to come. I think Ethereum is obviously the home ground for innovation, but at the same time, for day-to-day type of uses, I know people are saying rollups are the future, but I think there are a lot of different ways you can solve scalability. And I think a lot of people are going to realize that Cosmos is a pretty compelling product, as well as now a very compelling ecosystem. Whereas, maybe 2 years ago, it was too immature, the tech wasn't ready. So yeah, really looking forward to this.
Yeah, and it almost does feel like we've hit a turning point with the tech becoming more applicable to the utilities that they've aimed to service from the get-go. So what is the biggest pain point for the Cosmos ecosystem, and how do you solve it? I know you kind of already mentioned having a multi-chain world feel more united as one ecosystem as being a possible pain point, but I wonder if you could just expand on any other pain points in the ecosystem and how we would achieve.
Yeah, I think this is more in the background. It's things that we're hoping that the user never notices, but infra is a very big issue, a big problem that we're hoping to solve and be better at moving forward. The nice thing about one blockchain is you just have to have one endpoint, one server kind of thing to be able to access the blockchain. In the world of 100 blockchains, you need 100 of these. And that's one of those things that don't scale as well as IBC or Cosmos SDK does. So that's been one of the things that we've been having a very hard time kind of trying to brainstorm how can we do this better and things like that. I think from the user side, as you know, as much of a technological leap IBC is relative to a lot of other interoperability protocols, it is still very early. And for someone who's just been very used to a one-chain ecosystem, the notion of like transferring IBC, two different blockchains doing two different things, it is still very confusing. And obviously a wallet's going to be a big part of it, but the really important part that the wallet enables is that we allow web apps to abstract a lot of these things and for the users to interact with these web apps through the use of a wallet. So I think there's kind of a two-sided approach there.
All right, cool. And like talking a little bit about staking. So Osmosis has like a pretty high staking APR. And many other Cosmos chains have like a pretty high staking APR as well. Do you think that's because like they all have to attract like their own validator set, or like why do you think others outside of Cosmos ecosystem don't have such like high staking APR for like single-sided staking kind of?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys know this, but you know, high staking APRs doesn't mean you just get more free money. It's just like a different form of dilution, right? And I don't know if I can speak to other ecosystem, but I think I can speak briefly about what Osmosis thought was. You know, we started we didn't have a public sale. We basically just like airdrop tokens to the Atom holders, and the reason why there was a high inflation early on was basically, you know, when you're airdropping, you just don't know who you're going to give this to. Obviously, we were able to kind of narrow it down to a set of atoms and then bonus for people who are staking. But that's kind of the starting point. But as the ecosystem grows, the point of the airdrop is if you don't believe in the future of this chain, and you know, if you don't think this is going to be successful, you can sell and leave, right? And there's no harm done there. If you like it, you stake it, you LP it, and you earn incentives. And what we wanted to do is basically start off with the basic Atom and Atom holders and the Atom stakers, and then evolve into a token distribution form where people who really kind of double down on Osmosis, whether in the form of staking or Osmosis, does get a big share of kind of what they like, doing exactly what they believe in, right? And it's just staking rewards are just a way to modify the distribution, and rewarding the stakers is a big part of that, because if you don't like it, you can sell it and leave. If you like it, you stake, and the high APR means that you own a bigger percent of the pie. Whereas at the genesis where it was just the airdrop, you wouldn't be able to do that. So obviously that's going to wean off every year, and our goal is that the Osmosis application just kind of grows to the point where we are able to have good amount of rewards for the stakers. But starting off, I think bootstrapping and making sure you reward the early backers, which in our case was just the airdrop recipients or people who bought Osmosis on the DEX, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that personally gets me super excited about the Cosmos ecosystem is all these projects airdropping stakers of the Atom, their tokens, and launching their projects and bootstrapping that way. I think it's an extremely valuable experience for someone who's been with the ecosystem from the beginning. I wonder if anyone in the chat has experienced some of these airdrops recently, or even the Osmosis airdrop, and could tell us a little bit about their experience. That would be cool to see some commentary around that. Josh, but what do you think about the staking landscape in general? How would it look like in 2 to 3 years' time? Will people be still managing their own accounts? Or do you think that they'll primarily outsource decision making, like which validator to choose, to maybe a custodial service or even maybe a staking pool?
Yeah. So I think, to be honest, I think I see the lack of diversification in staking more of a UX issue rather than a fundamental like proof of stake issue. And obviously the way that we're trying to approach it is right now, we need to do a better job at this too, but you're faced with a list of validators, and when you're a newcomer to the ecosystem, first of all, you don't know who all these 100 people are and you don't know what they do. So I think the end state is for the users to be like, all right, here are the things that I like. Can you match me with a set of validators that do these things? And there's a lot of different ways that you can approach that. And alongside that, I think the end goal of wallets are to become more of a social application than a financial application that it looks like right now. And by encouraging more of a relational communication between validators and delegators, and more communications amongst the a delegator community, I think is a good way to kind of foster, all right, more thesis driven validators can come out of this, and your biggest selling point is no longer the commission, but maybe the contributions that you make to the ecosystem, maybe the help that you offer to the community, or maybe the cool stuff that you're going to be building in the next 2 years. Right now there's a pretty big wall that both validators have to cross to get to the users, and then the users have to cross to get to the validators. And I think it's the role of the wallets to kind of connect a lot of these different pieces together and provide a central point of coordination and visibility for everyone.
Yeah, that's a great point. And yeah, I guess the issue is like it's very hard to quantify a lot of these stuff, like ecosystem contributions and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah, which makes it hard for like an objective ranking or anything alike. But we see like something like Grandfish, you mentioned they funded you like 6 months in the beginning of Keplr, which is amazing. And there's so much power in it, I think. Yeah, so, and like on the other side, do you also think like so you mentioned like it's just a UX issue, not like a fundamental issue. Do you think it's the same for governance decisions as well, like on a base level, like almost basis democracy like governance decisions? Like do you think that's the way to go for everyone?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get a lot of heat for saying this, but first of all, I think I don't think wallets are made to be 100% neutral in how they organize information. Now, I think you shouldn't block someone from being able to use it. So like, we have this like permissionless, like add your chain to Keplr thing. That's always going to be permissionless. Now, within, our applications, how we organize validators, whether our metric is, fully open or not, I think I would love to see more opinionated takes on these like validator groups and their contributions and things like that, rather than to be too scared to experiment that you just don't do it at all. So that's kind of that first point. And then what was that second part? I keep sorry.
The second part was about governance decisions, but yeah, I really agree. And like I just want to add, like we definitely at Stakemods want to play a role there as well, and I think that we can help people a lot in like making these informed decisions on like, okay, like which validators do really add value to these networks. Yeah.
And exactly, and it's like different from ecosystem to ecosystem, right? And I think it is good to incentivize people that you feel like is adding a lot of value. And then on the governance part, I personally also think that validators aren't the best set of people to be making governance decisions. Not because I hate validators, I love validators, but just the fact that because you're good at running infra and being part of the consensus, it doesn't mean that you are someone who's interested or even good at making decisions on, like, for Osmosis, for example, like how incentives should work or how it should be calculated and things like that. And then at the same time, if you're a very good financial engineer, or if you're a very good, community builder, I think it's unfair to say that you need to know how to run a validator for you to have any power in this chain. So I think in the longer term, I think I see these things two things being separated and having their own incentive scheme, then I think right now we just kind of bundled into one thing just because it's technically easier. But I'd love to see more diversification. And I think that's going to be good because the validators can be more specialized in security, running good infrastructure, making sure the chain is running more efficiently, and things like that. And then, the governance part can kind of be delegated to a set of, maybe either whether that's a direct democracy or set of delegated democracy, that's able to run a lot faster rather than, everything kind of being tangled and being a roadblock for each other.
So if you say like validators are not a good group to make decisions, like do you have any like ecosystem stakeholder group in mind where you think, okay, like they would be like primed to make governance decisions because they're really into it? Or like, is it dApp developers or I don't know, core development team? Like who should be that group to make the decisions?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I'm not saying all validators are bad at governance. I think some validators just would rather not do governance if they didn't have to. But within this governance council, I think validators should be able to opt in and join and be a part of that decision-making process. But I think dApp developers are important. I think we should kind of still have this liquid democracy option that we have in Cosmos, where you are able to delegate most of your decisions. But if you would like to overwrite, you always have the option to. And then, we've seen amazing people, I guess for Osmosis one, because I'm more familiar with it, we have people like Robo, who is a community like mod, who's answering a lot of these questions. And he has the most insight of, what issues do users run into. And then we also have people like Nostradamus. I don't even know his real name, and it doesn't matter because he's so good at bringing up proposals, making sure governance feedback is there, and then modifying, ratifying these proposals to make it better. And I love these, I think some of these people are running validators, but I'd love more of these active contributors in forums and Reddits and Discourse to also be able to have an on-chain power to kind of drive the direction of the Osmosis, rather than that just being in the hands of infrastructure and consensus providers.
Yeah, and it seems like even in the chat here, we have some people that are agreeing with your logic there, that there could be some separation between the validators and some governance council that makes decisions on, inflation, stuff like that. So getting back more into recently launched projects, which recently launched or still to be launched project launching on Cosmos SDK are you most looking forward to, and which ones are you most impressed by? We've seen some recently awarding airdrops to stakers of Cosmos, Juno, any other, I guess, projects that would be airdropping as well that you want to point out?
Obviously, yeah, Juno's been, the growth of Juno has been tremendous. So that's been crazy. I like Stargaze a lot just because I've been a fan of Shane, who's the founder of Stargaze. And yeah, he's been a Cosmos OG. Evmos is also great. I think it's one of those new primitives that are that's going to pop up in Cosmos. Axelar is also opening up bridges to Dogecoin. I always meme it like that. Obviously, it's a lot more than Dogecoin bridge, but that's one part I'm very excited about. And at this point, I'm just so happy that I can keep track of the new things that are going to be happening in Cosmos, just because there's so many happening. There's Quicksilver liquid staking as well. There's like multiples of liquid staking solutions that are coming. So yeah, I can keep track of it, and that's a very great place to be in when you're building wallets. So yeah.
Cool. And maybe you can give a little bit of like outlook, like what's coming next for Keplr Wallet, and like do you have a rough roadmap and anything people can look forward to? I saw one question in the chat as well, like interchain accounts, which includes account abstraction as well.
Yeah.
Is that coming? Yeah.
I think interchain accounts is an interesting play. I'm not sure if that's a 2022 thing yet. It is coming in 2022, but I think it will require a little bit more time for that to be deployed across chains. In a bigger kind of oversight of this, I think interchain accounts is a part of a longer term roadmap, but not an immediate one. The thing that I'm thinking the most about lately is I think wallets are becoming social. I think it's going to be a convergence of on-chain communities, and wallets of 2020 and 2019 were an asset management system. Now there is meaning behind your on-chain account more than the place that has your tokens, and I would like to see Keplr kind of be able to leverage the amount of users that we have, the amount of chains that we're able to support, and create more of a social layer that's part of the wallet. So yeah.
So what would be like social features of the wallet? Like maybe you can be more specific on that. Like how would that look like? Can like people chat with each other or like upload pictures to their wallets or like yeah.
I think it's gonna be a mix of a lot of these things, and I wouldn't even say that everything is going to be in the extension, but so I don't know if I could like drop too many things, but yeah, I think providing more UIs that highlight your on-chain achievements. So maybe you were an airdrop recipient of Osmosis, and you'd only like to talk to these people. Maybe we can create a group for that. And maybe your voting record can be shown as a profile rather than a block explorer. And the Etherscan team recently released BlockScan's chat feature, where it's kind of this like chat API, and that solves the issue where if I want to negotiate a price of an NFT that's on OpenSea, I can basically talk to them. And I think the right place for that to happen is a wallet. And yeah, and I think DAOs, I don't like the term DAOs because it feels too serious and like investment-y, but I think on-chain social communities are going to be a big thing that's coming up. And I think wallets are the right place to start that. So
definitely looking forward to that. I can only imagine, the exclusivity behind having contacts that only were airdropped the Osmosis token in the beginning, and having those contacts in a social group could be very valuable for even launching another community, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting into, it's not investment advice we're trying to draw out of you here. So just to the best of your knowledge, could you answer this for us? So what are the best yield opportunities currently in the Cosmos ecosystem right now, to the best of your knowledge?
Surprisingly enough, I think staking has paid off really well. So I think everyone's like, oh, Atom has no value accrual mechanism. But it's like very interchainy where the value is like, value accrues to you and your wallet, but in the form of many different tokens. So surprisingly enough, I think staking has been one of the best yield opportunities. I think a lot of just like buying a token tends to have a lot more risk. LPing definitely has, IL, and staking is not that bad right now, I think. So, yeah.
All right, we can run with that. We'll try staking some Atom out for size and see what comes of it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, we can move forward to the community questions. Keep it coming, guys. We have a few here already. Let's start with from Justin Callas. Thoughts on expanding Keplr Mobile to include a browser for users connect to different applications of their choice. So yeah, the question is like, are you planning on like combining Keplr with like any kind of browser, or like making it a browser itself kind of?
Yeah, so this is one of those things where the innovations of Web3 are hindered by the regulations of Web2. I believe the iOS App Store doesn't let you do this. Android, there is no issue with doing this. So we haven't been able to do that right now. That being said, the approach that we're taking right now is integrating Wallet Connect a lot better. We are still using a kind of hacky version of Wallet Connect 1.0. Wallet Connect 2.0 is a lot more natively interchain. So we are in the process of moving to that. And also kind of having a Cosmos wallet modal that you have in Ethereum, where it's like you can select Metamask or Taurus or Wallet Connect and things like that. So I think that would be the realistic approach, unless Tim Cook is like, yeah, Web3 is the future. We're going to let all of this happen on our iOS platform. So yeah.
We can only hope, right? Next question up here is from RB. And question is, why are there only 3 chains, Atom, Osmo, and Secret, listed on the dashboard on Keplr desktop view? Maybe this is around curation?
Yeah, so this is in the process of just being completely redone. The reason why it's like that right now is because those were the 3 kind of biggest chains that we have in terms of user. But I think I do understand that, right now that's a big pain point. So we're in the process of just like redoing the entire dashboard. It's going to be a lot more interactive, more personalized. And this is one of those cases where the growth of the ecosystem outpaced the amount of development work we were able to handle. So the web app side of that has been a little bit left behind. But we're fully aware of that, and we're going to be making some changes to make that a lot more personable, approachable, and also be able to show what governance proposals you're able to vote on. Maybe you're part of a DAO or something, and you have something to act on now. So yeah, kind of just being able to do a lot more things, keep track of a lot more assets within that homepage.
Cool. And same question from, or same person, RB, asking, will auto-claiming, auto-compounding become a feature in the near future, or is the human claiming a need currently?
Yeah, so human claiming is a need currently, mostly because we don't want to be in custody of your keys, right? Anytime you're claiming a reward and staking that again, that is a transaction. And even from a blockchain's perspective, send $1 million to someone and right now claim this reward and restake it again is still a transaction that does require keys. Obviously, there's been a lot of improvements in Cosmos SDK called auth-z, where you're able to permission specific messages. So maybe this key is only able to claim your reward, and maybe it's only able to stake. But we still don't think we want to be in custody of even those keys yet. But I think the best approach here would be, I think a lot more smart contract platforms are going to be launching or be integrated part of Cosmos SDK chains. I think the right way to solve this is on-chain, where you have an auto-staking smart contract, for example, rather than having, giving your wallet your private key and have them auto-stake every once in a while or something.
Okay, good insights there, and maybe another product coming down the pipeline in the form of a smart contract there. Next up, we have Chandan K. Can we say feature request here? Can we have a deposit withdrawal history checking feature in Keplr without going to Mintscan every time?
Yeah, so this has been one of those things that we have sort of deprioritized to prioritize our extension and make sure we support the host of new chains and things that are happening there. But yeah, this is in progress. It's taking a little bit longer than we expected, but yeah, it's in progress, and we are definitely planning on adding this feature.
Cool. And Michael Jordan asking, when can we send UST in Keplr?
Yeah, I guess that's one alpha that we can drop. It is official that we are going to be integrating the Terra blockchain into Keplr. So yeah, soon. I can't give you a date, but it is coming. You'll be able to, at least in theory, interact with all Terra apps using Keplr. There has to be a lot more kind of development that has to happen because Terra uses Terra.js, and they have a completely separate fee mechanism, which is why the UST transfers don't work right now. But yeah, that's in the roadmap, and that's in a very near-term roadmap to support Terra within Keplr.
That's amazing. We're looking forward to this, and great news. Yeah.
Good question there, Michael Jordan. And next up, we have Said Mudassir. Just wondering if it's possible to add 2FA verification like Authy to Keplr app.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think a decentralized service is able to do 2FA. Maybe there is. I haven't been able to find one. So if anyone knows how to do that, please let me know. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of like a very purist non-custodial wallet where we don't really have any information on you. So, it's not like we can block you. If you have your private key and you'd like to send a transaction, we're not going to block you from sending it because there's so many different ways you can do that. But I think the exploration to increase security in wallets could be done with more things like social recoveries. I think smart contract wallets was the right direction. It was just far too expensive to use on Ethereum, but with it, with interchain accounts, with groups modules, with being able to authorize a small part of your messages and things like that, I think we're gonna see smart contracts wallets becoming more like a set of code, smart contract rather than the dumb private key, public key pair that we have right now. So yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. And then last question from Dude Guy. And I think that's a great last question. Like, what's the long-term vision for Keplr?
Yeah. I personally don't think the future of wallets is in being a browser extension. I think browser extensions have done a great job of bootstrapping the idea of wallets. But unfortunately, even though all of our users are mostly in the extension, the long-term vision is for us to never have to use a browser extension again, maybe apart from just signing messages. I think wallets are going to become web apps and smart contracts and just actual like native applications in your phone, and things like that. And like I mentioned, I think wallets are becoming social, and I would like to see Keplr lead the charge on that in the world of the interchain. So.
Very good. And thank you so much for all the insights here today, Josh. I think you did a great job of answering our questions and the community questions. Undoubtedly, Cosmos and Osmosis and Keplr, the hottest staking ecosystem in the market right now. I could say that with confidence. So thank you again. And can you tell us where people can go to follow you or learn more about the stuff you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me mostly active on Twitter. So it's just twitter.com/Dojmos. And then, yeah, feel free to check out Keplr. It's Keplr.app. It's our website, and give us a follow on Keplr Wallet, @Keplr Wallet on Twitter. So, yeah.
Thank you. And everyone, please be sure to check out previous episodes of Staking Mondays on YouTube and also available on Spotify. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to like this video and share it around to your friends. As always, guys, happy staking and take care. Thanks.
Happy staking.